Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com, and this is going to be a question and answer video. I am going to put them on here on the screen too, so you'll be able to know just in case you need to speed up to see something that you're more interested in. So, the first question that we have was YouTube subscriber. Uh, they have a lawsuit against, well, Midland Credit Management is taking them to court, and she is stating that she is going to fight it. She put her all of her documents together on responding to the summons, and she stated right here that she requested the original and complete credit agreement between the original creditor and herself, the defendant, signed uh, by the defendant, chain of custody, which is a chain of custody showing from the original creditor over to Midland. And let's see here. And then documents showing the amount of alleged owed by the defendant from the opening of the account to the last recorded activity of the account. That's a great move because you want them to prove the claim amount that they're saying. And you don't just want statements, they'll try to send you statements. You want them to have those little signatures or timestamps, whatever the original creditor used to prove that you made a charge. Um, think about it. If someone could just charge anything and it automatically went to you, why do they have us sign it? Why do they have the GPSs attached to the credit card? Like one of my credit cards won't even charge unless my phone, my cell phone is with it, and my fingerprint has to be with it. So both. So it won't even allow the transaction to go through. The next one here was including the principal, interest, and fees. You have a right to know about all interest and fees. And if you read through the court summons that they have, these debt collectors have been sending to people, you will see the parts in there about the interest and fees because this is stuff that must be disclosed to you. Uh, and it said, well, she said among other things, and she said, now was the big question though. That's a good start on doing the summons. That'll at least get them back on their heels and knowing that you're going to fight. But she also said that how do I know what the judge will accept as proof of ownership of the debt in my state of Oklahoma? And I'm going to put the link for this video. It's not really based on your state. I mean, certain laws are based on your state. When I've seen this with debt collectors, this is the way that it usually goes down. It's like number one, sometimes this goes with the relationship that that debt collector has with the court. Are they doing this by teleconference or what? Not teleconference. By Zoom, where that debt collector is in their area. They don't have someone representing them in your area. They just have a right to do business in your area. They're licensed to do business in your area. Or is this going to be a lawyer or attorney that they got in your area? Because what happens with that is that those attorneys have relationships. They're always in front of those judges, and so they, you could kind of see that it seems like they're on their side, and it's like an uphill battle to make them have to prove. And some of the times the judge will say, hey, it looks like majority of this is just showing that it's 100% you. But if you keep fighting, you can delay it. You could say, hey, I want all of this stuff to prove that this is mine. And this is when it goes back to what I've always said in my videos about you're not running from something. A lot of people get what I tell people to do with this confused with what other people tell people to do about debt collections. We're not talking about running from it. We're talking about making them prove everything. If you walk into court and you say that this isn't mine, they're going to say, this shows that it was you. Is this your name? They got some statements and stuff. What you're doing is you're making them uh, prove everything about what they're providing to the court. They're going to give statements. Those statements are not going to have 100% of your account number. You want 100% of your account number. You could have had one, two, or three different accounts with that credit card company. You want all of your charges with proof of your signature. There could have been before the account went bad, there could have been some charges that were not authorized by you. And if you really think about it, you have a logical, um, uh, kind of like I don't want to say an excuse, but a logical reason behind you not knowing if it was fraud, because you could say, well, I was going through financial difficulties. That's why stuff happened with where I wasn't able to keep up with that with the account with the original creditor. You're not admitting anything with them, but with an account that seems to be similar, and so certain charges may not have even been authorized by you. You know, you wasn't in the right state of mind at that time, and what you're just basically doing is just saying, get me all of the stuff so I can review it and determine if number one, the balance is right, number two, if the account is mine, number three, the original contract, I could have had a matching name with someone else. Number four, uh, get me the interest rates and the fees. I want a 100% disclosure on that so I can match that up with what the interest rate and fees are going to show on the contract. Get me the affidavit of sale of the alleged contract to the third party debt collector. And then also get me a document that shows that this third party debt collector has some sort of signature, signed document with my signature, allowing them to have my personal information. You're really just like stacking all of this stuff on top of what they already tried to stack on top of you on that summons. That's why when you review those summons and you if you really sit down and just read a court summons, and here's one that someone just sent me, all of these pages they sent me, and when you look at it, you would be like, why did they put all of this stuff in there? Like, what is the reasoning behind it? It's because they're trying to build that case into the mind of the judge, and so they're going to put like what this says, Exhibit A, Exhibit A, and Exhibit A has the is a statement. But let me, I could show you this because there's not even you can't even read. Exhibit A is supposedly a statement for this individual, but it doesn't even have his name, doesn't even have the account number or anything sitting on top of there. Let's go to another document that might be in here. Here are other documents that are incomplete. And so you have a right to make sure that you get everything completed for your review. And this is what you do, like they said in Exhibit B. And on Exhibit B, the problem that I see with Exhibit B is they have a fully redacted account number. And on this one, they do show his name, but they have a fully redacted account number. But that's not good enough because you have a right to see everything. You want to make sure that that's the right account number. Just think of it, like I said earlier, that you want uh, you walking down the street and someone says you owe something, you want to say, well, show me the proof that I owe you. You're not going to just let them pull out a document with your name on it. So just to sum up on that question there is that you're going to have to just go in there with what you got, get your copies to the plaintiff attorney or directly to Midland if they're going to do this by virtual, and then just see what they have to say. And then if they end up not bagging out uh, before the court date, you go to court. And some of the time this might happen is when as soon as they call your name, they just looking around to see if you showed up. And if you showed up, they end up saying that they want to dismiss it. They were just trying to get a default judgment by you not showing up. Other things is that they might say that they want to proceed and that they provided the court with information, and then that's when it goes into your side where you're going to be saying, well, I want them to uh, let me review everything that I had in my response to them. All right, so now let's go to the next question here. I'm going to read it. I'm going to pause the video and read it real quick and come right back. Okay, before I go to the next question, I want to make put a warning on here that watch out for the spam people on that are either in the comments. I get to them, but they try to change stuff around to where it doesn't. The system with YouTube doesn't know that that's one that I've banned from the channel. So watch out for that. We will never have you send to a Gmail. We'll never have you send anything for, to Cash App for our services. Uh, Watch for my responses. We'll have a black box around the credit repair shop in my face. But if you see one with my face where they just copied and pasted and it has the credit repair shop, that is a fake channel. We have reported it, and we haven't seen that lately since reporting it. So the next question that we had was with Santander. Uh, the person got their check and it was only a few $100s, but they were asking when would the repo information be taken off their credit reports, the repo / charge off information. It should have already been taken off, but if it hasn't, what you need to do is you need to dispute it, and you need to also put in there per the lawsuit. I would also send a request directly to Santander also, because especially because you received your check, they should have already had taken care of that information off of your credit reports. And for you that don't know, uh, just in case you didn't know, with the Santander lawsuit, they were supposed to give a payout of like $239 or more, and they were supposed to take all of that negative information off of your credit reports. All right, let's go to the next one. Someone said that they received a statement of claim from a debtor of a hospital. How should I respond? Okay, so statement of claim, which is probably them with a debt collector that was hired by the hospital. You should review it to make sure that this wasn't something that your medical insurance was supposed to pay for. Maybe it's your deductibles, or maybe you had an emergency where you didn't go to the hospital in your network, or you didn't have insurance. So after you do that review and you find out that this bill does belong to you, what you should do is you should contact them if it does belong to you 100% and it was not supposed to be paid by the insurance. Is you need to talk to them about working out an arrangement on that debt. Because if it's a hospital bill, especially something that you or a loved one needs additional care on, you don't want to get into a bad situation with the hospital. So let me just write that note there. Next one, someone asked how my wife is doing. She's doing very well. I gave an analogy to one of my friends on how she's doing. It's like the Bionic Woman, where you have some of you may be too young to know what that was. That was it was in Steve Austin. What it was she had an accident and they ended up where they replaced the arm with a mechanical arm and leg and eye. That's what they were able to do. And that's how I feel when I deal with her, because, I mean, seriously, there was a time where she could maybe walk like 10, 15 steps, then she had to sit down, 10, 15 steps, then sit down or rest. Or we were trying to hurry up if we were at the mall to find a place for her to sit. And now, like she was looking at her that watch that does your steps, Fitbit watch, and she's doing like 150,000 steps in a week. She's in this group where a lot of other people were either on oxygen or transplant um, recipients, and from what she used to do, she used to come like in last. I think one time she had won once, maybe. She wins 100% of the time. She never loses, and she's blowing people away by double. And I was saying the reason why the reason why she's doing it is when she was struggling with her situation with her lungs and she was on oxygen, and she was like at 13%, but a lot of people, even the doctors, didn't believe that she could go on the treadmill, even though she had the oxygen on, that she can go on there and do 20 minutes straight on a treadmill, 20 minutes. And I said that when you get your new lungs, that you were going to be like double, like you won't even be able to stop. Like she could do stuff and not even breathe hard. Like so that's why I use that analogy. Like it's like the bionic woman. Like it's like they've replaced that inside of her, and it's like she can do triple what she was able to do. It's not just where the quality of life got to where she was used to be before she had started going downhill. She's like these are probably lungs like 20 year old lungs. Like she's has very good stamina when it comes to her oxygen. So thank you for asking on that. So let's go here to the next question here. Hold on, I'm gonna pause it and then get the question. All right, let's got another one here. This is a Santander one. Says that my loan was taken out in December 2013. Car was repoed March 2019. That's a long time to be paying on a car. Car was sold at auction. Long story short, a third party has remaining balance, and I have been paying that monthly since. It's been hurting my credit. Should I stop until I see if I qualify? They have offered to settle, but I can't afford lump sum. Feel stuck right now. Do I continue to pay and eventually settle? Not pay and try to save and then settle. I was totally scammed, $28,000. Okay. I forgot I added, and I did get a. Okay, here we go. Whoa. Okay, so you got a restitution check in the mail. This you should immediately, and I'm gonna reply to you on here. You should immediately stop paying the debt collector on that car. You should immediately request that they give you all of the money back that you paid on that because you were included in the settlement. They can go and try to get their money back from Santander or from the courts, but you should immediately write them a letter stating that you were included in the settlement, you got a restitution check in the mail, and that you are demanding that they give every dollar that you paid them back because this vehicle loan. And it doesn't matter if it was sold to a debt collector. They were recalling loans that were sold to debt collectors. As a matter of fact, this debt collector may know that that loan was recalled and they did not notify you that you had the right to, number one, get your money back and also stop paying. So immediately, I'm going to respond to your post right now, and then hopefully you watch this video so you can get your money back, and they will give it back. They don't want to get in trouble for doing that. This I don't want to say it happens all the time, but this similar thing happened with an individual for a student loan, and I told him to do exactly what I'm telling you to do, and he got $3,000 back and the information removed off his credit reports. All right, let's see the next question here. Debt validation. The person sent out the debt validation letter, and they didn't send the original contracts with signatures. So they're asking if they do a debt validation and they don't send back the original contract with your signatures, is that a debt validation? It's not a debt validation. What you have to do is you have to keep, and they didn't put the whole account number. What you have to do is you have to just keep asking for it. They're going to just try not to get you the information. They're going to want you to quit. They're going to try to drag it out, or they might send back saying that they're not going to come after you for it. But if they don't send you the information that you request to get, then what you're gonna really just be in a lot of back and forth with them, making them get it to you. You're gonna have to adjust the debt validation letter based off of what they send you and based off of what they say. So just be prepared to go back and forth with them on that. All right, let's see another question. There's a lot of people in here reporting that they got their Santander checks. We have another question here, and what I'm doing, writing on my notes. Another person put on here that they had a debt that is past the statute of limitations for California from 2016. Should they still ask for a debt validation? No, you should not ask for a debt validation if it's past the legal statute of limitations. And I have that free letter below here, below this video. You use the statute of limitations letter, which is basically notifying them that you know that the debt that they're trying to collect from you is past the legal statute of limitations, to collecting that you are demanding that they cease all collections for that debt. That's uh, that's all you have to do. You don't have to do a debt validation on that. Let's see here. Bought a car 13 years ago, never received a court order. Now my job sending papers for garnishment. I have 5 kids. Happened a week ago, June 1st, 2021. Help. They live in California. What you should do, and I'll put that note there. Let me just put this here real quick. All right, so the individual is being garnished, car from 13 years ago. Obviously, this has to be a judgment because in most states, there are some states, but in most states, they would not be able to move to a garnishment without getting a judgment. So you have a judgment against you, and a judgment can last for up to 20 years. So, uh, what can you do? You got 5 kids. Well, this is what you do. Uh, every state has a garnishment law. In our state, they call it poverty guideline for garnishment. That's the quote unquote words that they use. And so, what you need to do is you need to look at that. I think I have it sitting here. Yeah, I had that up there. So, basically, in my state of Wisconsin, an individual that has five, a family size of five, you would be able to make on a weekly pay 590, bi-weekly 1,180, semi-monthly 1,278, monthly 2,556, and they would consider 150% of your income 3,835. So if you fall in anywhere below those numbers in our state for a family of five, you would be exempt from being garnished. So what I would suggest that you do is you look at your state of California, look at the garnishment laws. It might say poverty guidelines for earnings, or it might be some type of wage garnishment earnings guideline. This tells all debt collectors and with the courts also what amount of money is that you have to make over to be able to be garnished. And the thing about this is that this is actually updated in our state. It's updated every year, so it goes up every year. So just because it was one level one year doesn't mean that it's the same the next year. So that's what you need to do to see if you can be. All right, the next thing that we got here, student loan. Individual said, I have a question. I have a delinquent tuition sent to the college collection agency. What should I do? Well, first you need to make sure that this was not a school that was shut down. I don't know if you one of those storefront schools. If it's not, if it's a regular school, or if it's a legitimate school, a legitimate storefront school, there are some legitimate ones. You can check with the Department of Education. Biden has made some forgiveness programs back available, or they will be opening up very soon. If it was a fraudulent school, you should also go to the Department of Education. There's a link that they have that has a full list of all of the schools that have been known for either shutting down and taking advantage of people, or that they were just straight up schools starting just to do student loans to make money. and you may be able to get the loan forgiven on that basis. It does happen. All right, so I'm going to be ending it here. That's 10 hot questions that will help people. And I really appreciate everyone watching my videos. Sorry I haven't been able to make as many as I wanted. We've been very busy here. Um, but, we got to just keep working at it. And before I close out, I want to talk to you a little bit about staying positive. I haven't really spoke too much about that in my videos lately. But I want you to stay positive, because if you're not staying positive, a lot of the stuff that you try to do just won't work. Uh, you can make you get what you think about. If you think negative, negative things are going to happen to you. You think positive, positive things are going to happen to you. But you have to be willing to allow uh, processes to work themselves out. Nothing happens overnight. Uh, no two things are exactly the same, no matter what. Your situation is different from someone else. You may be dealing with the same debt collector, but your collection is dealt with different than some other individual. And a part of that, which I believe, I don't care what anybody says, I believe that a large part of the good things that happen to us is it comes from from us, the thought process, the thinking. Something bad happens. Don't say, woe is me. Say, what can I learn from this and how can I work to get this thing fixed? Rather than bad things always happen to me and no good things. I don't deserve anything good. Uh, you, if you get into that negative thought process, if you get to where you just feel like things are just always happening bad to you, you need to evaluate yourself. You need to do a personal evaluation of your thought processes, and you need to concentrate on thinking positive. This is something that I do. Is what I do is I say scratch out. If something negative comes to my mind, I say erase it and move on. Erase it and move on. That's what you're gonna have to do to be able to continue to uh, I don't want to say, like retraining your brain, because a lot of people expect negative things to happen to them. That's, just it's human nature. It's a lot easier to think of something negative than it is to think of something positive. And it's really easy to think of something negative happening to you, like something bad happening, than something positive happening. Because a lot of people just feel that good things don't happen to them. When all they have to do is just look back, a lot of good things happen to you and other people and to me. But we have to congratulate ourselves. We have to acknowledge them. What happens is that when the good things happen, a lot of times we just take it for granted, rather than saying that that was a damn good thing that happened, and saying that more good things can happen, and that it doesn't have to be what they used to call Murphy's Law. Just because something good happens, something bad has to happen, or bad things have to happen. So you have to be willing to allow yourself to let good things happen to you, to allow more good things to happen to you. And if two good things happen to you, don't think that the third thing has to go down. Allow it to keep moving up and to move forward, because you deserve it, and you deserve better, and you deserve to have just as good a life as anyone else that is out there. uh, your life doesn't have to be the same as someone out there. That doesn't have to be a duplicate of it. But you deserve to have good things happen to you. And the only way that you're going to start moving that direction without sabotaging yourself is to have the thought process working in your favor, your own thought, because you control that. That's why you'll see people that are out there and they're like, they have all this good stuff happen to them. It could be someone that's a singer, and then all of a sudden they collapse and they do something to hurt themselves. And that's because they don't have that thought. Like, they have the team around them that's like building them up. They have the studio executives and the producers, everybody's building them up. But the one thing that they couldn't build up was that individual's own thought process. So no matter what, sometime it could be 1 year, it could be 2 years, it could be 10 years, it could be 30 years, they end up falling and doing something to hurt themselves, or they end up even doing something ultimately where they kill themselves on accident. And it's because they deep down inside think that they don't deserve what they have. That it's like something that's just internal. And people have those types of feelings with a lot of things that we do. All of us have it. And you can see, like one person told me this a long time ago. They was like, I don't have to ask you anything about your life. I can just look at the results of your life. I could just write down everything that I see from you over a week, and that's what's really going on in your mind. And when I think about that, that's really true. Like you will lie to yourself. We'll lie to ourselves about a lot of stuff. But all you have to do is just write down on a piece of paper. Like if you had a recording, somebody was like videotaping you, and and then you wrote down what your life is and how you are and all this stuff, and then they videotaped you, and then at the end of the week, they played that videotape to you. You'd probably be like, "Oh man, I'm embarrassed," unless you're living exactly the way that you want. And I'm not talking about like stuff like financial. I'm talking about like you truly your person. Where if somebody says something about you, trying to hurt your feelings or something that you know yourself, they can't do it. And that's how I am. There's a lot of people that write all types of comments here and on other platforms about me, and it doesn't matter. There was things that were said about me when I was a kid, and I just happened to learn at an early age to where I knew who I was for myself. And the more you get to being in that process, when you start to become successful in whatever you do in life, no one will be able to take that from you because you understand who you are as yourself. So I would like to invite you, if you need help with your credit, please visit our website, thecreditrepairshop.com. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the number 3scores.com. If you need the statute of limitations letter, or you need the debt validation letter or cease and desist letter, the links are below this video. They're all 100% free. And you should use those letters the way that they need to be used if you need them. All right, this is Stephen A. Williams, President and founder of thecreditrepairshop.com. Thank you, and until next time.